What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Wuthering video. Today we're taking a look at the Object 120. This is a premium tank for the Russians, battle rating 7.7. It's a pretty expensive vehicle, and rightfully so. It is after all a Tier 5 tank. Therefore, it is excellent at grinding everything from Tier 1 to Tier 6, and that kind of grinding potential makes it a very expensive tank. But of course, there is one issue with it, and that is the poor armor. It gives some people fits, and they don't know how to play it. And this was one of the subjects that was brought up before I took my hiatus from the channel. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this vehicle and offer some suggestions on how to play it. A quick look at the armor reveals that the hull is very weak, 30 millimeters. Because of the sloping, you're looking at just under 100, but still, that's really nothing at battle rating 7.7. The turret, it's even worse. Looking at 30 millimeters with the effective thickness of anywhere from 30 to 80, 125, and really not much better over here. The roof is another problem. You're only talking about 10 millimeters of armor up top. Angled, it's still not very effective. And what makes this even more problematic is the enormous ammo racks you have up here. It is not uncommon to get strafed by aircraft and get killed through the roof. Not just because of rockets or bombs, but just from their main cannons or their machine guns can often penetrate these. It can often penetrate the weak armor on the roof. So how do we play it? Let's get into a battle and show you. Our first battle takes us to Poland. This is not a particularly good map for this vehicle due to the poor armor and limited options. But you do have the option, of course, of peeking and shooting. When your opponent fires his weapon at your teammate, peek out and shoot him right back. Take out his ammo rack. The Object 120 comes with APFS-DS shells as well as HeatFS. I've used both. I prefer APFS-DS. Not only do I find that the high velocity round is easier to aim, but I also find that the HeatFS shell tends to get caught up on any sort of trees. Certain maps have difficulty rendering in trees at long distances. APFS-DS doesn't care about trees or fences or any of that nonsense. It just goes through everything. Certain maps, it may be a little bit more favorable for HeatFS. However, generally speaking, I find APFS-DS to be the easier shell to use, and the post-penetration damage is as good, if not even better. But of course, I always recommend people try everything and see what works best for them. If there's one thing I can say unequivocally is that damage output changes from patch to patch, so these things are always changing. A couple patches from now, they may perform a little bit differently, so always test it and decide for yourself what works best for you. Now on this second map, we are taking an unconventional route. We're going across the water to take a sniping shot, or a sniping position. We're going to be sniping towards the middle cap. I know people are going to be aiming at one another down there, but they're not going to be necessarily focusing on me because everyone is down at the Bravo cap. So I've got some free will up here. I'm not expecting anyone to be coming up here after me. I can just sit here and take side shots at people. Now, if my aim were a little bit better, if I didn't hesitate there, just wait for them to line up and just very slowly whittle away at them. Knock out crew members, take out cannon breaches, whatever I can to help my team. Got a nice little fire there. This is a great position to use if you're playing lower tier. If you have APHE shells, this spot is amazing because you can get those nice side shots. You see they're finally figuring out where I am. They're turning their turret. You know, I've done my part. Now it's time for me to relocate. After all, if they're looking at me with their turret, it means that they've got their side of the turret towards my allies down there, and if they can get a nice side shot on the turret, that's going to be the more favorable option, obviously, rather than having to face the front of the turret on a lot of these heavies that are at this battle rating. We got an M103 and a Conqueror Mark II all down, just pretty short order. Just scouting over the ridgeline. There are a number of areas where people like to camp, even on that far side. You can see on the mini map, my blueberries are just all over up there. I would end up getting another kill and a couple of assists, but for the most part, I had already done my damage, and it was pretty much cleanup work for the allies. Now we move over to basically the same map, just a different configuration. This is European Province, and I'm using a similar tactic. I'm going to be covering the area in between Bravo and Alpha, but I'm not going at the cap. I very rarely play directly at the objective, and certainly not in this thing. It doesn't have the armor to really play that sort of a role. I push up towards Alpha here just to see if there's anyone rushing, because it's not uncommon for someone to push either in a light tank or some sort of SPA even, because they want to get that early capture point and possibly even spawn a plane. But I don't see anyone pushing. No, the whole purpose for taking this sort of route, as well as the route that I showed earlier, it's all about the gun. Ordinarily, when you flank an opponent, and you often learn this at lower tiers, but usually you have to flank an opponent when you have an inferior gun, so you cannot penetrate reliably the frontal armor of your opponent's tank. This is often the case when you're playing something like the Shermans and you encounter your first Tigers. That's a pretty scary vehicle to encounter for the first time, and so you have to learn to flank. That's not necessarily why you play the flanks with the Object 120s. It's that you don't have armor to deal with the tank head on. So you have to be very, very careful. There's gotta be someone here. Oh, there we go. What was that? It's hiding in the bush. That's a T-92. It's on fire. The gunner loader. Another shot. Got him on fire again. I didn't get his gun breach though. That's unfortunate. Fire again, so he will burn down. But of course, I'm greedy. I gotta stay in the fight. I gotta try to kill him. There we go. Nobody else there that I could see. Now it's time to push over towards Alpha. See what we can find. They've had plenty of... There we go. We got a tank on the cap. That's why my green guy hasn't been able to cap. It looks like a T-29 or a T-34 there. So just push up here near the trees. Try to get into the trees as much as you can without knocking them over, of course. Because you want to try to blend into your surroundings as best as you can. But shot right into the side. Critical. Got his gun breach, most importantly. So there's really nothing he can do at this point. He backs up. But I don't think he knows where the shot came from. Aim for the ammunition rack on the floor. Take him out. There was a T-29. We also took out a T-34. They got two of our players, however, including a Yag Tiger and a 906. That's a pretty nice combination. Here we go. We got more guys rolling in. Looks like either a Magok or an M60. Ammunition. There we go. M60. And do they have anyone else? They must have... They do have the cap control, so they likely have at least one other guy up here that I didn't see. Where are you, buddy? Gotta be behind these bushes here to the right. It's little bit of smoke coming out of there. Probably from a wreck from one of my allies who got taken out. You see, I've got an ally to the south of Alpha on the mini-map. Come on. Push out. It's safe. Come on. They still got a lot of players left. And I don't want to abandon this, because this is a really nice spot on this map. There we go. A Vickers main battle tank. It's kill number 4. And that should be all the guys on A. Because we got the T-29, the M60, and the Vickers. We didn't see anyone else coming in. So I let my ally know that I think it's clear. I don't see anyone else. You would think if someone else was there, they would leave, possibly. A guy goes in and gets promptly killed. You know, there are those moments where you just feel like a shithead sometimes. And it's an FV4005. A great big doom cannon. Well, it's more of a derp cannon because it's so unbelievably terrible. Oh, I honestly felt terrible. I mean, I don't know if he went in there on my information, but I sure felt responsible. I would end up relocating after Bravo got lost. See a tank moving in. I think that was a little bit low and behind him. We're starting to lose a couple more players there in between Bravo and Charlie. We also lost one in between Alpha and our spawn here on the south. Where did this guy go? This patch of trees here makes it really difficult to see anything. And this guy's calling for help. Not too far from A, actually. The 120 doesn't have very good gun depression, so if you're gonna... There we go. M42 Japanese Duster. Come on, reload that gun. Don't be shooting at me. That'll work. So you still got a guy back here. Ping behind the T-44-100. But I'm not seeing him yet. Oh, there we go. Got some dust kicked up from when he shot. It's a Centurion Mark III. Very nice one shot. And that's APFSDS. HeatFS may not have worked there. Because remember, HeatFS will get set off. It'll be detonated if it hits a tree. And there were trees between he and I. And that's something APFSDS just doesn't have to deal with. Combine that with the high muzzle velocity of the shell. It makes it very easy to aim. There's very little bullet drop that you have to account for, and the penetration value does not drop very much over long distances. So on a map like this, where you can be engaging very long distances, it's an excellent shell. So with A being capped, it's now time to push the spawn, as it is typical for ground force battles. And there is a vehicle here. I'm having difficulty actually seeing him throughout the trees. There we go. There's our ace. Actually, it's a kill number 6 on the Falcon. But that wouldn't be my last kill. As a matter of fact, my last kill in this particular battle would not even be another ground kill. You see, the Object 120 is not only a good tank killer, but it's also not too bad as an SPA. Sometimes Spitfire just happens to fly right into your gun, and down he goes. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope more than anything it helped answer some questions you may have had about how to play this. Whether peek and shoot is your approach or to use flanking maneuvers, you have very good options with this vehicle. You just have to be very careful and try to blend in with your surroundings as best you can. Don't just flank or sit in the back of the map and camp. Try to blend in as best you can. It really does help immensely. Anyway, guys, thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Take care, guys.